I've been cautioned not to give an answer to that because we don't know for sure. But my hope is by this time next year we're going to be back to normal and before that, my hope. But again, it depends upon if people continue to be smart and understand that we still can have significant losses. There's a lot we have to do yet. So thank you.
Yeah, another year we still can, yeah, sure, whatever Joe says. Does it even feel like Joe Biden, just take a break for a second from the COVID talk, does it even feel like Joe Biden is the president to you? Do you really get the sense that this guy is the president of the United States? You don't really see him all that much. Kind of just shows up, shuffles around, mumbles some stuff, waves a hand in the air and refuses to take questions from the press, basically. That's what ends up happening. This is the great leader that they replaced Donald Trump with. This is the guy that we're supposed to think is going to take America into a better, brighter, stronger future. Democrats had a lot of chances, a lot of options. This is the best they could do? Well, no. The only way that they could actually get the votes they needed to get the power they want was to pretend the Democrat Party is something other than what it really is, and Joe Biden was critical in that effort. The Trojan horse candidate. That's what he was, and now we see the horse is inside the walls of the gates of Troy, and the Greeks are coming out of the belly and getting ready to burn the thing to the ground. But okay, we'll have to wait till that happens. We have another year of this, they're telling you. Who does that sound like? Go back. Go listen to some of the old Buck Sexton shows. You can go to bucksexton.com, play the podcast there. Who was saying this for weeks? They were talking about, maybe, Fauci said end of this year, maybe we can go back on masking a little bit. That was 3 weeks ago. What did I say? Oh, no. Next June, maybe we're normal if Democrats have their way. Next June. And even then, you're going to have but we reserve the right to be able to shut you down, tell you what to do, lock you in your homes and mask you up any winter where the flu is bad. They're already making that argument out there. It's coming. I've seen this every step of the way. Because when you understand what it means for there to be a collaboration between mass media and mass hysteria, you understand what's going to come next. You understand what's a few steps down the road, and that's what's happening here. That's what I see. And then there are those who are completely losing their minds over this. And I can assure you of this, they will not. They simply will not admit they were wrong if and when we see what I'm predicting we will, which is that Texas will be fine. This is not going to result in some explosion in cases. You have a tremendous amount of built-in herd immunity already because this virus has ripped through the country for a year. You have millions of seniors. 50% of seniors in Texas already have the vaccine. By the end of this month, 100% of seniors in Texas, they estimate, will have at least had the opportunity to get the vaccine if they want it. You're just going to see hospitalizations and deaths plummeting here. And you know what they're going to claim? Even though the trend line will be the same as it is right now, there won't be even a big dip up, or rather a big reversal up, and then a plateau for a while. That's what you would expect if this was. But they'll say, the trend could have been even faster. It's their ideas, their beliefs on this are unfalsifiable. Look at California, look at Florida. They just ignore it. We ran the experiment. They were wrong. That's where we are. Ron DeSantis says it. God bless him. It's so nice to have a public official with credibility and brains who's out there, who is in charge of a state, who says, look what we did, look what they did. Our way was better. Full stop. Fauciism is a nightmare. Didn't help. Full stop. But, oh, man, over at Morning Joe, when they're, going between houses, they do the Morning Joe show in Florida, by the way. They don't do it in New York. These anchors are taping it elsewhere. And they tape it. They're in the same house, of course, because, Joe and Mika left their families to marry each other as hosts on the show. That's a whole other thing. But they do it in the same house, and they tape separately. But, when they're going between the Hamptons, the Vineyard, Palm Beach, or wherever, whatever fancy part of Florida they're in, going from, one multi-million-dollar home to another, while essential workers are making sure the heat is still on in their homes, making sure the air conditioning is working, bringing them food, cleaning their homes, doing the laundry, their hedges, all that stuff, right? But they're good people because they mask and they listen to Fauci. Yeah. So concerned about those essential workers. All these elite limousine libs double masking in their Facebook photos and on their Twitter profiles, while Uber Eats drivers show up and bring them their sautéed scrod. Oh, care so much about the less fortunate who are suffering from COVID. Lockdown forever. As long as I'm still getting paid $500,000 a month or whatever. What do I care, right? That's the attitude they have. But they're very upset about Texas and the decision that's being made here. Play 7.
Well, I mean, and again, you look at CPAC and the people that got the biggest cheers there, not the people that are going to win elections, mind you, but the people who got the biggest cheers there were the people that were most reckless and irresponsible. Ron DeSantis, which he's used his as actually his calling card for running for president in 2024. He's ahead in a lot of those straw polls in CPAC. Kristi Noem, who was stupid enough, thought she was being cool on 4th of July to say, we're having this big event, and no, you don't have to wear masks, and no, there's not going to be social distancing. This was back in July, of course, when we were in, obviously, like now, we're in the middle of it.
What the heck is he talking about? He's just spewing lies and propaganda. Florida was right. We have the data. We have the numbers. Compare Florida to California. And then, California is roughly twice the size of Florida, but you look at it on a per capita, per 100,000 residents basis, more hospitalizations, more deaths in California than Florida, and they've had months and months and months of extreme lockdown. A ban on outdoor dining in California. How'd that go for them? Masks. Oh, my gosh. My friends who live in L.A., they say if you go in someplace without a mask on, you're a murderer. Do people realize that anytime they see somebody with a mask, there's over a 99% possibility that individual is 100% healthy and does not have COVID? Think about how much our mentality has been corrupted here by the panic porn merchants. Think about how much anxiety has been inflicted upon the American people, and all the psychological disorders and the drug abuse and the suicides and the self-harm reporting. Self-harm reporting among children has skyrocketed during this. And they said it was saving so many lives to put us through this misery. Really? Where was that the case? You have states that have 100% effective Democrat control that were disciples of Fauci. Listen to it at every turn. And yet, did they have the best results? New York, California, New Jersey, the worst states in the country. Massachusetts, the worst states in the country for COVID-19. That seems so strange, because I thought they were listening to the science. I thought they were listening to the data. Whatever that means. Nope. Anything to beat Orange Man bad, anything to beat Trump. That was the policy that they were running for COVID. And Trump was the cause of COVID. That was the other ridiculous narrative that was popping up here. And just remember this, they're not going to let this go. Even when the numbers show that they're wrong, they can't ever accept. They will never admit that they were wrong. Here's the mayor of Texas. Remember this guy who he flew to Mexico and he told everybody else to shelter in place and wear a mask? That guy? Mayor of Texas, Steve Adler. Here's what he says, play 12.
It's not based on the science and data, so it's based on something else. And it could be the criticism here associated with the power going out. It could be the criticism he's getting from the really far right people in the state who have been complaining about masking from the very beginning. But it's not the science and the data. We know that when we did this in Texas, cities stepped out first, the state came along later, the numbers started going down. Every time we have opened up the economy too soon, we've started to see a surge again, and that's the concern, and especially here. If you're under 65 and an essential worker, you're about to be put into the position where you don't qualify for the vaccine, you can't protect yourself, and now you're going to be this frontline worker around people potentially that don't wear masks. I can only hope that our community recognizes we still have a choice. Regardless of what the governor did, we can still choose in our city to act like we do have a mask mandate, for people to continue to wear it, for businesses to continue to require it, and that's what we're going to have to do.
Please keep locking down the Austin mayor, Steve Adler. I think is a Texas mayor. He is technically a Texas mayor, but not of Texas. Steve Adler of Austin here. Still wear a mask, still require the social distancing and all this stuff. Until when? Notice how they pretend that there's a definitive answer here. If you look at the data, if you look at the science, there's an answer. Well, what is the answer? They should tell us that. When the deaths are what? When the hospitalizations are what? When the cases are at what level? They can't tell you that. You know why? Because this is a judgment call. This is about what is reasonable, what is acceptable risk for people in society. And the mayor of Austin seems to think that acceptable risk is zero. Whereas the governor of Texas says there are competing values, competing goods in life. And your 100% safety from an aerosolized virus does not outweigh literally everything else in society piled on top of each other. That's not how this works. It's a policy judgment. It's not science. This was one of the fundamental lies of this whole thing. Oh, just look at the data and whatever Fauci says, that's the objective truth. No, this was always about judgment. This was always about weighing pros and cons. But they didn't let us do that. They said lockdown or else peasant. We're in charge now. And it's all Donald Trump's fault this virus is out there. So now put that buffoon, that quasi-senile imbecile Joe Biden in place. Yeah, go for that. That's what's supposed to happen here. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.